So as you might be able to tell, I have two very large stacks of my vinyl records on my bed, which only entails what I have for this video. I'm going to give you a tour of all of my records, and it's just basically going to be my vinyl collection. So here we go. We're going to start with this stack, and then we're going to go to this stack, which is like my favorite, but we'll see. Maybe I'll change it in editing. I don't know. So here we go. Starting off with the first is that I'm going to be Peter, Paul, and Mary. And yeah, I just really like this band, and I think they have a lot of classic music. So that's my first one, and it's just pressed on normal black vinyl. When it's pressed on like a unique vinyl, I'll just show you a close-up in a different clip. Secondly, we have Love Rhapsodies, which I just love this cover, and I just think that it's a super aesthetic vinyl, and it has a really good song like Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, which is a really good one. But yeah, basically I got it from my uncle who passed away a couple summers ago. And then we got Vivaldi's Greatest Hits, which is such an iconic record. Like, I just love it so much. But yeah, basically just to explain to you why I have so many, I should really count them. It's like 100 or something. Most of them I inherited from my uncle who did pass away a couple years ago, but obviously the newer ones I have bought or purchased myself, or they were given to me as gifts. So yeah, the fourth is that of Japanese Melodies, which this is so pretty. Like, I love this vinyl, and I just think it's super cool, and the instrumental music in this is a really good vinyl. And then we have Shawn Mendes lyrics, because what else? And then we have Seals and Crofts' Summer Breeze, which is actually a really aesthetic cover. And when they have like cool insides, I'll show you them too. But yeah, it has this back. But yeah, I like this one. And a few of these records I actually haven't listened to, and I definitely should because I own them. But yeah. This is my first Neil Diamond album. I think I have two, but yeah, this one has some pretty good ones on them, but they're a little bit less well known. But yeah, I have that one, and then I have the Marshall Tucker Band, which my brother got me this, and I really like it. So yeah. Now this album is so great, because if you've never heard this song, it's called If You Could Read My Mind by Gordon Lightfoot, which is also the name of the album. It is such a good song. My dad sang it, like, he was just like, oh, you have to take this vinyl, right, when I was going through my uncle's collection. And I grabbed it, and I'm so glad that I did, because the song is really good. So definitely go give it a listen, because I just love it. And then we have the classic Bee Gees, which I love this yellow color, and I think it's super cool. So yeah, we have that one. And then we have Bryan Adams, which I picked this baby up in Seattle at like this downtown kind of side street corner vinyl market, which is super cool. So yeah, I love this one. And now I have multiple Elvis vinyls, because Elvis is a king, like literally so talented. So basically the covers of them themselves, like the paper covers themselves, were so moldy that I couldn't keep them. So I just have them in their individual paper slips. So we have this one, and then we have this one, and these ones are the Live at Madison Garden, which is incredible, by the way, because I love that it's a live record, because you hear his voice and you hear him taunting the audience, and it's his actual real raw vocals and not just like the stereo production. And it just means a lot to me that I have that classic record, because they're kind of hard to find. And this is my second Neil Diamond album, which is just the iconic one that has Sweet Caroline, which is the white anthem. But basically I love this record, and I think it's really fun. And then we have Chicago, which I love the band Chicago, and it has pretty good songs on it too. So yeah, good one. And then we have The Sound of Music, which obviously I hope you've watched this movie and listened to the soundtrack, because it is a classic. And then we have my old youth pastor's record. His name is Adam Hastings, and he was a worship pastor at a church I used to attend, but yeah. And then we have Christopher Cross, which I really don't know who he is, but I have the record because I got it from my uncle, so here we are. And then I have West Side Story because, yes, I totally used to do theater, and yeah, it's just a great soundtrack, and the musical itself is really good. And I picked this up for like $1 at an Asian supermarket in like the San Jose, Northern California area with my friend, and I just really like it. So we have that one. Then we have Barbra Streisand's Greatest Hits Volume 2, and yeah, it's just that. And then we have Diana Ross, which I've never listened to this album, but I own it and I should probably listen to it. Then we have The Carpenters, which hopefully you've heard of them if you're into like classic rock music, but definitely more of that soft classical rock, but I love them because they're a great duet and they were siblings, so yeah. And we have The Temptations' Greatest Hits, which is so fun. I love this because the back, they were just like a quartet, and I just love them, so yeah. And I have a comedy album, which this is one of the funniest skits. It's the Who's on First skit, which if you haven't heard of it, you should just look it up on YouTube because it's really funny, but it has that skit on it and a couple other ones about sports, but it's really funny. And then this is my mom's record actually, and it's Nadia's theme, and she's a famous gymnast, and my mom was a very good gymnast for many years, so yeah. And we have Flashdance soundtrack, which I've never seen this movie or listened to this record, but I still own it. And then we have Ronnie Milsap's Greatest Hits, which classic rock, obviously, but yes, I have this. And then there's another comedy album, which is George Burns, and there's a couple different skits on here, but yeah. And this is one of my Dear Evan Hansen albums, and I'll show you a close-up of the vinyl because it is this like nice blue color, but yeah, it has that, and I'll show you the inside. But it's really cool. I just love it, and the back is really nice, but love this vinyl. I have two of them, and I'll explain later when I get to the other one. And then I have two Shawn Mendes albums as well. This is the first one, and this is pressed on like a cyan kind of vinyl. Yeah, it looks like this. It's his In My Blood album, so yeah. And then we have the Ink Spots, which I got this record for like $1 at this garage sale. It was more like a, I don't know, like a city market kind of when I used to live downtown, and basically it was super cheap because nobody wanted it, but I love this album because it has one of my favorite kind of like, I don't know, like the 20s kind of crooner sound, and it's I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, so it's a really good song. And then we have Elton John, Breaking Hearts, and yeah, it has some pretty good songs on it. And then what would be your record collection if you didn't have the Star Wars album? And I love this song because it has the Imperial March and it's really cool. So yeah, that's my first stack, but now let's go to the other stack. So I have Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player by Elton John, and yeah, it's a really aesthetic album. Like, I just love the look of it, and I think it's super cool. So, yeah. Oh, whoa. Look at this. It's kind of like a storybook, because there's lots of pages. I don't know if you can see it, but there's pages of images of Elton John. And I think it's literally so cool. So, yeah. That's a cool one. I'm going to put it here. Now, this is my favorite album stack, so I'm going to be fangirling over this, but this is Steppenwolf, and I love this classic rock band because they have such good songs. Like, Magic Carpet Ride is a bop. I just love this album, and it's so good. Then we have Tom Jones' Greatest Hits, which is great because his song She's a Lady is such a good song. So, yep, I own that. And then this is 1 out of 3 of my Need to Breathe albums. If you can't tell, they're one of my very, very favorite artists. And this is their Hard Love album, and it has pretty colors with their faces. So, yeah. And then this is my second out of 3 Need to Breathe albums, which is The Heat, which is one of their very first albums, but such a classic, solid album, and I love every single song on this. Oh, yeah. And then we have the Beatles' Greatest Hits from 62 to 65. There's a lot of classics on here, such as A Hard Day's Night, and She Loves You, and I Want to Hold Your Hand, and Ticket to Ride, and Yesterday, and Help. So lots of good songs on this album. And my brother gave me that one, and I thank him for that because it's a great album. And then I have Red by Taylor Swift, and this was one of my very first albums I ever bought, like my 3rd album I ever owned, and I love it because this is one of my favorites of Taylor Swift albums, and it's just so beautiful, the inside, because it has every single every single song on the album with the lyrics, but with like pictures, and they're so beautiful and so aesthetic. So yes, I love this album. And then we have the Beach Boys, which is 1 out of 2 of the records that I have for them, but look at this. It's like a beach ball, and it's so cool. But yeah, and the back is super cool too. So yeah. And then my Elvis album, my other one, but the one with the actual cover, and I love it. I love it so much. This is probably my favorite vinyl I own, just because it's so entertaining and like surreal to listen to. But yeah, love it. And there's a lot of classics on this album and the other ones that I showed you. The next one is I love this album so much because look at how beautiful it is. It's so aesthetic, and it's obviously a classic Beatles album, which is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and I just love this album so much, and the artwork is super cool and it's super eclectic. And the inside is so beautiful, and I love it because it's so colorful, and look, they're all there. And it's really old because the record likes to fall out of the bottom, but yes, love that album. And this is my 3rd out of the 3 Need to Breathe albums. This is more of their EP, which is Forever on Your Side, but every single song on this album, as well as the other ones, I just love, and they're all so good. And it's pressed on this like nice pink. And now it's time to explain why I have 2 Dear Evan Hansen albums. So this is the other one. I haven't even opened it yet because I think I'm going to give it to somebody else. But my brother got it for me for my birthday, and he didn't know that I already had it, and this one's just pressed on normal black vinyl, and the one that I have now that I originally owned first is pressed on the navy blue vinyl, which I will show. And then we have 2 Christmas albums. The first, oh my gosh, I always forget which one is which, but this one's Bing Crosby, his Merry Christmas album, and I just feel like the classic 50s, 20s kind of singers fit perfectly with the Christmas vibes, and I just love this album, especially during the holidays. And then we have Andy Williams, also Christmas album, same kind of feel, vibe, but yeah, classics, and I love the songs. And then we have the Cold War Kids, which I love this album, and I really like this band just in general, and there's a lot of good songs on this album, and it's pressed on this clear vinyl, which I will show you. But my brother got me this as well because my brother's the best and he supports my vinyl addiction. Anywho, I bought this one myself because I'm obsessed with this movie. It's one of my top 5 favorite films. I love it so much. So it's the La La Land soundtrack, and it has just mainly the main songs, not all of the instrumentals, but a couple instrumental songs, as well as the songs, obviously, with the vocals in them. I've listened to that album so many times. I love it. And this is my second Shawn Mendes album, and no, I did not buy 2. The reason why I have 2, and they're both colored, so this one's this really pretty burgundy color. I ordered the burgundy color, but basically what happened was because Shawn Mendes is such a popular artist, basically his vinyl album was such a high demand that the shipments for the vinyls were set back like 3 months, and so I got it like 3 months later, and as a result they sent me 2. And funny story about that, my dad is obsessed with Shawn Mendes, which is so funny, and I love that. And we went to his concert, and he was very talented, but just fun facts. And this is like the second record I've ever owned, and I love it so much. It's Frank Sinatra, which he has such an incredible voice, and he was so talented, and I love a lot of his songs. So yeah, I have that one. And then we have Dean Martin, which I love Dean Martin. And I just love like the Italian kind of vibes within songs, because it just gives you kind of like an atmosphere, and I really love it. And his voice is really great, and his songs are super rhythmic and catchy. So yeah, I have that one, and it's one of my favorites for sure. And then we have the Guardians of Galaxy Deluxe album. And I love it so much because not only does it have all of the classic rock songs, so Awesome Mix Volume 1, which has all of the songs that play in the movie that are classic rocks, like Spirit in the Sky, and Hooked on a Feeling, and Escape the Pineapple Song. I love it so much. But it also has the film score. So yeah, it's a pretty saucy album. Okay, so many. And then we have Kaleo, Icelandic rock band, and their song has played in a couple like soundtracks, so like Way Down We Go, which is such a good song, and they're a very talented band, and one of the songs is like kind of like an Icelandic song, and it's super cool, and I love it. Great album, and my brother got it for me as always. So yeah. And then we have Beach Boys, Surfin' in the USA, and I recently bought this album because it's still in its cover. Love this album so much. So it's super cool, so it has all of them in the back, but it has like Surfin' in the USA, and it has Honky Tonky and Surf Jam, and it's just kind of those surfer vibes, but I love the album. But let me show you the inside because it's really cool too. Oh, no, never mind. It's kind of breaking. Maybe it's the other one. I don't really know anymore, but yeah, that exists. And then we have The Beatles, which is another album that I have, which is from 67 to 70. I love this cover, and I love this album. So yeah, and then the inside has pictures too, but there's 4 sides, so 2 vinyls in total within this album itself, and it has almost all of their classic songs that people know, and it's really great. I love it. Okay, and then the last one that I have for you is my most recent vinyl that I got, which is Mumford & Sons' Sigh No More, which I love this song because it has a lot of their like classic, like some of their very first songs that were really popular, like The Cave and Little Lion Man, which is still their most popular song, and I love the album, and it's very aesthetic, and my brother got it for me for my birthday, so yep. And that concludes my final collection, and I definitely will just insert the tiny clips, but if you guys enjoyed looking at my photo wall and my pretty lights and my vinyl collection, and yeah, I hope you guys have a very blessed day, and I loved sharing this with you, so yeah, bye!